Hey guys, J77 here doing a DVD movie review of a film that was released on DVD in 2009. And the only reason why I'm doing it as a standard DVD review and not a flashback review is that this is a film I have never saw before until yesterday when a friend of mine showed me the DVD cover. He wanted my initial reaction to this movie, and when I saw the DVD cover, I laughed. I actually laughed because the minute he told me this was about a killer coffee bean, I just couldn't help but laugh. It was hilarious just hearing about somebody made a movie about a killer coffee bean. But it is out there. It's on DVD, and the movie is called Killer Bean Forever. The title, yes, it's ridiculous. It's something that when you see the cover, you just laugh automatically. But surprisingly enough, this film has some good qualities. It also has some not so good qualities, but it has some more good qualities. What's the gist of this movie? Well, I'm going to give you the brief synopsis of this. This movie is about a killer bean who was sent by a secret organization to take out a target. Originally, the target was supposed to be this big gang boss known as Cappuccino. Bear with me with this, guys, because there's a lot of puns in here, there's a lot of coffee references in here, but I'll talk about that as I go along. Apparently, the police is on to Killer Bean because Killer Bean is sloppy, he's relentless, and detective, which goes by the name of Cromwell, is investigating a warehouse shooting, which started in the very beginning of the movie with a dance number. Yeah, these coffee beans with breakdancing, which resulted into Killer Bean being agitated, called them up on the phone, asked them to turn down the music. They didn't, so he shot up the place. That's how this film actually started out. Things get a little bit more complicated when the detective realizes that there is actually someone that Killer Bean is working for, a shadow organization who he thought is wants Cappuccino dead. Turns out there's a lot more than what the detectives or even the boss realize, and this leads to pretty much a who's really being targeted kind of situation where Killer Bean is not really telling who's the main target until pretty much in the end of the film when we realize that there's a lot more than meets the eye, including the person who's Killer Bean is targeting, as well as who's actually pulling the strings. This film pretty much follows a standard gangster betrayal kind of storyline, but surprisingly enough, with some of the stuff, they do it pretty much better than a lot of the films I've seen. I might as well just give you the gist of this. This is a film pretty much that if you thought there was actually one target, there's actually another. The main target is not really Cappuccino, actually. It's actually another target who used to work for the organization that Killer Bean now works for. And this is where it comes to the question of who's telling the truth, who's really after who, which leads into the ending, which I will get to later on because it actually was a main factor of me giving this film the star rating that it got now. Want to get to the good parts of this film. I want to get to the good part because there's a lot of good things about this film that I like. This film was directed, produced, and also storied by Jeff Liu. And I gotta tell you, in terms of animation concern, this is actually a well done animated film. A lot of work has been done in this film. It took them a very long time to get this movie done because of the failure of getting a major producer to back this film. So he ended up doing a lot of stuff himself, but the stuff he did put in this film, animation-wise, is spot on, superb. I actually really did love the animation in this movie. The animation is, I was shocked at how well done the animation was. Very, 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 very shocked. The gun, all the way to the detail of the cars, it makes you feel like they were actually driving the cars. According to when I did my research on this film, I think he did it in 2D and 3D with motion captures. But man, is really crisp, really clean, and I really dig this world and how they actually put this film together. That's kudos just on the animation alone. The only complaint I have in terms of the animation department was the beings themselves, their mouths did look like real mouths. Every time I looked at the mouths, they seemed like it was just like there was nothing there when it was moving. You know how you see a tongue, and you see the whole. It's very weird how they did the beans' mouths, and that's pretty much the only thing. The eyes was fine, but the mouth was just something that's a little bit creepy. But other than that, that is small complaint to the animation. This is a beautifully done animation film, and that alone, I think people, if you are an animation fan, I will recommend it just on that alone. However, this film does have problems, and the one thing I will tell you right now is that the puns really did hurt this film. The puns, the references, some of the characters' names, really, it followed that redundant show pun that makes you, it's kind of funny. I did not laugh once with the puns. I just thought it was kind of annoying to have these puns there. Also, the exhibition really caused this film to drag. It was a lot of exhibition, a lot of talking, too much talking, and that's surprisingly because this film is actually only clocked in as an hour and a half movie. But a lot of the exhibition, a lot of filler, really did hurt this film for giving this film a lot of high rating than what it really deserves. This film pretty much had a lot of there was a lot of action scenes, and then it stops, and then they have this whole conversation, which to me, there are some conversation that was necessary to explain what's actually going on, but there's others they could have edited it down, and that was one thing that really hurt this film. Another thing that also hurt this film was the ending. From pretty much from the start of the film, besides that ridiculous breakdance they had in the beginning of the movie, you did had a very good action scene. From time at time when there was actually a lot of action, it really did pay off. And I might as well tell you right now, the same people who was responsible for the animation in The Matrix Reloaded was also behind this film as well, and it shows. A lot of the scenes that you've seen in Matrix that you come to expect slow motion really paid off well in this movie in terms of the action style they was going for, and it really was done well. The exhibition really slowed this film down. It really became unnecessary, and all it basically was it dragged the film longer than what it really supposed to be. Also, the climactic ending with him and Jet Bean, and yeah, that's pretty much reference of Jet Li, was very underwhelming. A lot of the action scenes they had was on this film was very good, very entertaining. I was really in it. The ending scene when he is actually, because I might as well tell you, spoiler alert if you didn't see this movie, Killer Bean turns himself into the police. Now he's in jail, and they find Jet Bean, who was supposed to assassinate him, find out he was in jail, went to the prison, and instead of bumping him off, which they had a lot of opportunities throughout this movie, which they didn't, decided to have a one-on-one fight with him, which turns out to be probably the most underwhelming fight and most disappointing fight in the whole film. You wouldn't expect that, being that was the last climactic fight scene in this entire animated film, but it turns out to be just wow, major disappointment. Even the ending was a bit disappointing because you actually wanted to see more, and the film just ended with him going to the main base of his superiors. Another thing about it, Detective Conwell, who played a big part in this movie, pretty much went home and disappeared, never been seen again. So the ending, along with that final scene, was very underwhelming and very disappointing. Other than that, I thought the animation was good. I thought the pacing, for the most part, was steady, minus the exhibition, and even the music was okay. I didn't care too much about the music with the selection, but this is like an urban style animation movie, and I kind of, it grown used to me when I started hearing the music. But other than that, the film itself pretty much steadied in the middle with me. I gave this film 2.5 stars. I think the 2.5 stars definitely is well worth it. I think if the film would have stayed away from the crazy puns, which I actually came to expect in a film like this, but it really got to a point where I was actually annoyed, where it was trying to make jokes out of it, and it just didn't work. And the fact that if they could have just shorten it a little more in terms of the exhibition and why they was doing with the dialogue, because the dialogue in this film was not that great. It was not that great at all. Uh, if they would have actually edited it out, it probably would have bumped it up to a three. But the dialogue mixed with the dragging time and how long it took for them to have a conversation, to the point where when Killer Bean is standing right in front of these guys and they didn't shoot, only they shot later, and that underwhelming end fight scene, I just couldn't give it that extra star, which is kind of sad because overall, I will tell you this, the animation, top notch. I really did love the animation, how they actually paid attention to detail in this animation. I was very, very surprised. From Killer Bean's gun, which is two dragon guns, which is beautifully crafted, to the gold bullets. It actually felt like it was actually gold bullets he had. To the cars, even to the scenery, which is spot on, very, very good. So I will say this alone: if you're an animation fan, that alone, I recommend you watch this film. It's very, very good. I actually think that even people who's in the animation department will be inspired. Mind you, he had no backing of any major studio whatsoever. He had no backing at all, and the fact that he had no backing and a team with limited resources was able to pull this off really says a lot about this. I really give kudos to Jeff Blue for really, really doing a great job. Him and his team doing a great job in terms of the animation. However, what killed this film isn't with the animation. Hell, it wasn't even much with the story, which, by the way, was pretty much a typical story. But the other stuff, especially the stereotype characters, it was just like, wow, they really went on to be stereotypical of these characters. And the one thing that really did bother me, not as much though, I kind of dig the detective. They gave the detective Conwell character, or the Bean, if you want to call him that, a gangster, 1930s gangster's accents, which scratched my head a little bit, but I said, okay, well, whatever. I mean, it ain't gonna kill me. But other than that, I thought that even though I'm giving it 2.5 stars rating, don't let the rating fool you. It is, animation-wise, it is beautiful to look at. And if I have nothing better to do, I probably will watch this film again. So this is how good this film is in terms of animation, in terms of entertainment. I really was entertained for the stuff they were that worked in this movie. So that's my view of this movie. That's my view of this film. And again, kudos for the animation department. Did a great job. What did you see about this film? Did you seen this film? Have you heard about this film? Had you seen it anywhere in the streams or even rented on DVD? Let me know. Comment below. Until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.